Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Sunday morning show for all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And I tell you what, it's always the same on a Sunday. We've got quite a lot of fresh updates, including Manchester United's travelling squad for the games that they're going to be playing in Spain. We've got a watch along on Wednesday night when they play Cadiz, and then on Saturday night when they play Betis. The squad's not massively that exciting. I don't think we're going to learn a lot, but it's still a Manchester United game. But Jadon Sancho not part of it. What does that mean? I think it's a bit of a concern. I don't think it's the end of the world, but it's a bit of a concern. We've also got updates from Cody Gakpo. Netherlands won yesterday. They're into the quarterfinals where they'll play Argentina next Friday night. He's been speaking about his transfer future. And also we've had Virgil van Dijk sort of bantering Manchester United in relation to signing Cody Gakpo as well. And another Premier League club that apparently would enter this race for Gakpo in January, which makes our job harder, which we sort of hinted at yesterday, but a new club enters into that. Want a big shout out to Martinez, by the way. What a block at the end of the game yesterday. He goes into the quarterfinals as well against the Netherlands and will play against Cody Gakpo. Big shout out to Martinez. If you want to get one of these for Christmas, by the way, links in the video description. Just click United Stand Shopify, scan down, it's there. We do ship worldwide. And obviously England are going to be playing tonight. So lots to get into in the show this morning. I hope you're all doing very, very well. We've already got somebody saying that Sancho's a bit of a flop. And do you reckon Sancho will be here in 2 or 3 years, says Stupid Peeps 2.0. I will talk about Sancho in a minute. I do think that that squad, will go through the squad and who's going to who's travelling with Manchester United. Obviously Sancho not going makes a squad that's not that strong anyway, even weaker. I mean, realistically, you've got, De Gea, Lindelof, McTominay, and Martial. There's not a lot of first-team players who are going to be on that tour, and a lot of youth to have a look at, really, isn't it? But look, let's fly straight into what Cody Gakpo had to say. Now, I'll give you the precursor to this straight away. You may have seen yesterday that Gabriel Jesus of Arsenal is out of the World Cup for Brazil. He was expected to be back in January. Apparently needs an operation. He will be out for 3 months. That means that Jesus will not be back for Arsenal until March. That's a lot of football to miss for Arsenal, who are top of the league. Now, what I was told this morning is, and from somebody who's pretty good in this space, but very good in the summer, is that Arsenal will go for Gakpo. They'll certainly look at that option because the way Gakpo plays is not dissimilar to Jesus. And nobody's saying that he's as good as Jesus or they're similar, but Jesus doesn't score loads of goals for Arsenal, but he's fundamental to their build-up. And this is the sort of thing that Gakpo can do. He's very good at that. He can play off the striker. He can play as a striker. He can play off the left. He's available in January. Arsenal have got to buy someone in January now. What will they be looking at? And Gakpo could well become a target for Arsenal now, which is interesting with Jesus being out for 3 months. But what did Cody Gakpo have to say himself? He spoke after the game yesterday. This is what he said about his future. I've got to be honest, I'm not thinking about that at the moment. I'm focused on the tournament and want to keep performing well, to keep helping the team. Hopefully when we become world champions, we can think about other things then. So look, this is why I wanted USA to win yesterday. I mean, I quite liked the way that USA played football, but I wanted them to knock the Netherlands out because if we'd have been waking up this morning and the Netherlands were out, then Cody Gakpo's having a little break and then he's speaking about his future. It's another week at the World Cup. He plays next Friday now, so ultimately, it's another week where he will have total focus on the Netherlands and the World Cup. That doesn't mean that Manchester United can't be having conversations with his agent, and we can't be having conversations with PSV. But obviously, the sooner the Netherlands are out of the World Cup, the sooner we can start making a move with Cody Gakpo, and the longer he's in the World Cup, the more people will start looking at him. I mean, he didn't play particularly well yesterday. He wasn't bad, but he didn't get the headlines with the goals. But one person who did, by the way, was Memphis Depay, and it was hilarious. I was doing the watch-along on That's Football. Memphis Depay scored, and the amount of people in the chat were going, I think Memphis could do a job for United. And this is where I despair about the World Cup, and I've said it about the Euros and other World Cups on this channel. When I'm doing the United Stand stuff, and I'm not doing the World Cup stuff, and I'm observing the World Cup or the Euros, it does my head in how many people see a performance in the World Cup and go, I think he'd be a good player for United. It's just such basic football knowledge. Like, it's so... We're in a bubble. We're in a World Cup bubble. and the bubble will pop the minute this World Cup finishes. International football is shite compared to Champions League football or Premier League football. It's nowhere near as good. So you can see good players can perform. Look at Messi last night, but you can't scout a player exclusively on the World Cup. We're not scouting Gakpo because of what he's done in the World Cup, scoring 3 goals in 3 group games. We're scouting Gakpo because Ten Hag wanted him in the summer and he's doing well for PSV again. Yes, he's doing well for the Netherlands. You can't just see Memphis Depay score a tap-in and go, oh, he'd be good for Man United. But it worries me that Man United might try and push that. I think Ten Hag wouldn't, to be honest. But look, we might go for Memphis Depay. But if we did go for Memphis Depay, would you be happy with that? I like Memphis Depay, but would you be happy with that considering Gakpo's going to cost you 40 million, João Felix is going to cost you 80 million, and Memphis is going to be for free? Now, is that, out of 3 options, why would you pick that as a Man United fan? Why would you go for the free option over the money? I know why United would do it, because it's free, but we shouldn't. I don't. What I'm trying to say is that out of Memphis, Gakpo, and Felix, Memphis is the 3rd option for me. He's comfortably 3rd choice. So why would I go for 3rd choice? I want option 1 or 2. So I wouldn't be happy if we went for Memphis in January. I think he could probably do a job, but you're clearly going for the cheap option. And we can't be doing that. We can't be going for cheap options when we're trying to get in the Champions League, which is going to be very, very difficult. I'm really excited. I'll tell you why I'm excited. I'm not excited because it's December the 3rd or even the 4th. I'm excited because it's not long until we get Premier League football back. That's my bread and butter. You know, butter me up, because that's what I love. And I'm excited about getting the Premier League back, getting United back, getting Ten Hag back, getting the boys, getting the band back together. I'm excited about the Premier League. Yeah, I'm enjoying the World Cup, but the great thing about the knockout stage is it's another 2 weeks closer to the Premier League returning. So I want us to go for it in January. I want us to get the right players in. Otis, thank you very much for your super chat. And do you think that Van Dijk said will sway his decision, says Ivan. Thank you very much, Ivan, for the super chat. If you want to do that, you can do it through the $sign. We'll read those out. But Ivan has just led us lovely onto what I wanted to talk about next. So we've got Cody Gakpo giving us an update on what he thinks about his future. He's focused on the Netherlands, and at the moment that's all he's thinking about. You know, pretty tame answer. But Virgil van Dijk was asked about the situation and whether Manchester United and Real Madrid being linked to Cody Gakpo and whether he's ready for a high-profile challenge. This is what Virgil van Dijk said. Are Manchester United and Real Madrid the same level at the moment? No disrespect, not at all. I think he definitely has a next step in him. So, you know, Van Dijk choosing war over just, you know, speaking about the player. But look, I ain't got a problem with that. Liverpool player takes a pop at Manchester United. You know, I couldn't give a shit. You know, Van Dijk's been pretty shit in the Premier League this year, but he's been fantastic in the World Cup. I'm not going to disrespect Van Dijk just because he's had a dig at Manchester United. I actually find that sort of stuff funny. I think when you react to that sort of stuff, you give them what they want. I think he comes across as a little bit childish, really. I think he comes across as a little bit petty. Look, Van Dijk's a world-class player. There's no doubt about that. Liverpool are on a different level to Manchester United and have been for years. We're fully, you know, I think the way back is to realise that you're lost. We know we're lost. We feel we've got the right guide in Ten Hag. We feel that we're heading in the right direction. And that's what we need to sell to Cody Gakpo. I don't care if Virgil van Dijk is saying to Cody Gakpo, go to Real Madrid, Man United, a small club. I mean, Cody Gakpo's got the same agent as Eric Ten Hag. He will know about Ten Hag from Ajax. And I actually think we're more attractive to intelligent players. And I think Cody Gakpo's an intelligent player. And what I mean by that is, yes, United are shit. Yes, United have had a bad 10 years. But for the first time in 10 years, we look like we're heading in the right direction. And it's a project that, if you jump on that, it's a very exciting one to be part of. And at Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid's a step. You know, actually, I think Virgil van Dijk helps us. I don't think he hinders us. I think that, you know, Real Madrid are a bigger club than us at the moment in relation to football. They've just won the Champions League. So Cody Gakpo going to Real Madrid, I think that's too big of a step for him. I think the expectation would be too much. I think coming to Manchester United when Champions League football for us this season would be a big achievement. The expectations at United are the same as Real Madrid, but the reality is different. The reality is at Real Madrid, if he goes there, he's got to get in that team and he's got to perform. Otherwise, he's going to get whistled and booed. That's what happens at Real Madrid. But at Manchester United, we would take him in as a signing that Ten Hag really wants, and we would be patient with that signing, and he would be given the opportunity to develop and grow with a team that is developing and growing. So I actually think that Virgil van Dijk has probably done us a favour. And people will be getting all, angsty about it and saying, "Oh, piss off, Van Dijk," and putting up pictures of the mistake he made when we beat them, in August. But I think we're reacting like they are there. We're being small-minded. Oh, Virgil van Dijk made a mistake on a goal at Old Trafford in August. Where are we in the league? We're not even in the top 4. All right, we're ahead of them at the moment. We're not in the top 4. We've got our own journey to walk through. I actually think Van Dijk's helped us in a way, because he's right. If Real Madrid and Man United want Gakpo, and Van Dijk is saying that Real Madrid's on a different level to us, good. I don't think that's a good, and for that reason, I don't think it's a good move for Gakpo. I think come to Manchester United and develop like we're developing under a manager and a fan base that will promote that development. So I actually think Van Dijk's probably had a pop at us, but actually, if I'm Cody Gakpo, I'm going, you know what? I think Man United is the right place for me. Sean Turner says it's time for Van Nistelrooy to get his own back on Arsenal for the penalty he missed, and they all jumped around him. If we want Gakpo and the Glazers allow it, he will join us, says Sean Turner. And yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think that Cody Gakpo's got the same agent as Erik Ten Hag. We were looking at him in the summer, so he knows that we like him. And also, the manager of PSV is Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is a Manchester United legend / great, whatever you want to class it. And our relationship with Van Nistelrooy has always been very good. And also, as an ex-great striker, Van Nistelrooy can advise Gakpo about what's good for his career. And remember, Van Nistelrooy went to Manchester United and then went to Real Madrid. So even if Gakpo wants to play for Real Madrid eventually, Van Nistelrooy can say to him, look, I went to Man United, I completed it in the Premier League, and then I went to La Liga. It's a good path to follow, and it's a good club to go to. And we treated Van Nistelrooy so well at the start. He was a player we wanted. He got a really bad knee injury that kept him out for months. And then United still said, Sir Alex said to him, don't worry about it, recover, I'm going to still buy you. And we did. So, I think everything suggests that we can do it, but you've got to be in the race to win the race. I think we can win the race, but we've got to be in the race. Maybe Liverpool will come into it. Maybe Van Dijk wants him to go to Liverpool. Maybe Arsenal will come into it with the Jesus injury. But look, we're in the box seat. We've just got to get that one done. Sancho really taking the season off. What's going on to Sean Walker? Gakpo wants to play. Okay, I don't know what that's on about, Jonas. Thank you very much. United are the biggest club in the world, says Brian. Gakpo should prove many wrong, says RJ. And Doobie Guy says, Mark, grown-up reaction. We should do this much more. I'm all for banter, as you know. I'm all for digging out people and going for them. But as soon as I saw those Van Dijk comments, I thought, no. Most of our fan base is going to jump on that and give him what he wants. He's basically just thrown petrol on the fire, and people have reacted with, pictures of Van Dijk and, Van Scheidt and Van Disney and all this. And I'm like, no, I'm just not bothered. I'm not bothered. I actually think you've tried to wind United fans up, and actually it's backfired, because you've actually just told Gakpo the best place to go, which is United, because the expectation at Real Madrid would be too much. And as well, I'm still a United fan that thinks that we're going to struggle to get top 4 this year. I've been quite realistic about that. So I know the journey that we're on. I think we're on the right journey, but I know that the journey we're on. Hope you're good, mate, says Gavin. Thank you very much for being a member for 7 months, Gavin. If you want to join the members club and get your badge next to your name, like Jonas and Gavin, then you can do that through the join button. But the Don says, I love that jumper. Where can I get it from? Yeah, you can get one of these delivered worldwide. Links in the video description. United Stand Shopify. We do ship them. There we go. And why do they call Van Dijk Van Disney, by the way? I've seen it loads of times, and people are laughing about it in the chat. And I mean, to be honest, I'm a bit tired this morning. I don't get that. Is that because he's Defenders cartoon? I don't know. With Gakpo, it's what Delo said. They have the chance to be the ones that bring us back, says Daniel Kirk. I agree with that. Van Dickhead says the Quiver. And Smart says that Gakpo is the solution for centre forward. Look, I think until the Netherlands get knocked out, we're not going to really get major development. That's why I wanted them to get knocked out yesterday. But they're still in the tournament. They've got Argentina next Friday night. Right, just to take it away from that transfer story, keep your questions coming in. Happy to talk about that. But you may have seen that Manchester United have travelled out to Spain today. This is because the because they're going to have a warm weather training for a week and play a couple of friendlies. So the squad that's gone out is this. Let me just get it for you on the United Stand MUFC website. Twitter page. So the travelling squad is as follows: De Gea, Heaton, Bishop, Dubravka. Then you've got Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Williams, Mengi, Bernard, Gerardo, Hardley, Bennett, Ayadil, Murray, Fredrickson, Van der Beek, McTominay, Savage, Iqbal, Hansen, Gore, Mainu, Martial, Alanga, Shoretire, Garnacho, Hugel, McNeil, and Emeran. No Jadon Sancho, which we'll come to in a minute. But look, we're playing at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. We're going to do a watch along for that on this channel. So it'll be an interesting one. I think it's being live streamed on the MUTV app. But we're not going to learn a lot. It's just going to be watch Man United. I mean, I look at that team that's travelling. The most exciting aspect is the youth, because De Gea's our number one anyway. Wan-Bissaka's going to get sold. Lindelof is third or fourth choice centre-back. Brandon Williams, at best, will be support right-back. Van der Beek, as we already know, is probably fourth or fifth midfield choice. McTominay is backup midfielder as well. Martial is first choice. And Alanga is, again, fourth or fifth choice. And then Garnacho. So for me, the three players in relation to the first team that matter are De Gea, Martial and Garnacho, because they're the only three that really are touching the first team at the moment. The rest of them are all bench players. So I think for me, the only real, observation is going to be Martial's fitness, and if any of the youth can shine. But look, we've got. I'm not knocking it. We've got to do it. You can't just say, "Oh, loads of players at the World Cup. Let's not work on fitness and development." But there's not much in that squad that's going to make you go, "They could be involved over Christmas." In fact, the youth really. Can any of those youth players get some game time? I like Gore. I like Mainu. I like McNeil. I like Hugel. Obviously, we've seen a bit of Garnacho, Hansen. There are some players there that maybe they can jump the queue a little bit, and you're going to be playing with McTominay and Van der Beek, etc. So maybe they can get a bit of game time. It will certainly be interesting from that point. But Hoodie doesn't ship to South Africa, says Delino. Hi Mark, no news on the right back signing. Nothing at the moment, Dylan. I will talk about that in a moment. Jim says he's got the hoodie in brilliant in red. It's brilliant. Iqbal, the player to watch, says Yahoo. Yeah, look. It'd be interesting to watch, but I think the major disappointment is that Jadon Sancho isn't going to be there. So the update on Jadon Sancho is this. He is continuing his individual performance training as part of a process to get back to his highest level and will not travel with the squad to Spain. He's not going to be there for the warm weather training camp. Club says he's continuing that individual performance. Sancho has been training in the Netherlands with coaches recommended by Eric Ten Hag. So, I mean, look, no surprise that Phil Jones isn't there. Apparently he's Christmas shopping. Twan Sebi is also following an individual training program to get back to fitness. I mean, he's been out for most of the season. But from the Sancho point of view, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's a blow, but it's not the end of the world, because if he's training in the Netherlands and then he joins up with the team this time next week, well, this time next week is still a week away from the Burnley game, and is still 2 weeks away from the Forest game. So Sancho could well be back in contention for that Burnley game. That I don't think he's out of that, and he can easily be back for the Premier League game against Forest, which is 3 weeks on Tuesday. So we're playing Burnley 2 weeks on Tuesday. So United's next run is we've got a friendly on Wednesday, we've got a friendly on Saturday. 2 weeks on Tuesday, we've got the Carabao Cup game against Burnley, and then 3 weeks on Tuesday, we've got the first Premier League game against Forest. So Jadon Sancho missing a week warm weather training in Spain doesn't preclude him from being involved in the Premier League game or the Carabao Cup game. But it is a bit. I will acknowledge it is a bit of a setback, because why can't he be in Spain? It's warm weather training with players playing games. He's not going to be doing that wherever he is at the moment. Why isn't he playing? Why can't he be in warm weather training with the team? Even if he's not fit enough to play, why can't he be there, part of the team, with the lads, with Ten Hag? What is the issue there? Is there an underlying injury problem? Is there an underlying different option? Is the illness that he had still a problem that he has to be individually training and can't be around other players? I don't know. And we don't know that. Obviously, there's been speculation about his mental health as well. That's just pure speculation. We're not going to start talking about that. But there's obviously something, and it could be as minor as he's carrying a bit of an injury and he's just not ready to be training with the first team. But even if he has got a minor injury, warm weather training is good training. I mean, it's bloody cold in the UK at the moment. Going over to Spain for a bit of warm weather training and camaraderie with the team, I'm surprised he's not part of it. And also, it's a couple of games which he needs. He was out for the month before the World Cup. He wasn't playing. The players who are part of the World Cup, they're not playing for United, but he's not playing as well. What I'm trying to say is there's an opportunity. If he goes and plays against Cadiz and Betis and plays well, you're in Ten Hag's thoughts. You're in the fans' thoughts. You're like, oh, Sancho's ready to go. He's ready to hit the thrusters. But obviously he can't do that if he's not part of it. I mean, look, conversely, for Donny van der Beek, there's an opportunity, isn't there? But Sancho can't take that opportunity because he's not going to be there. But as Ishmael says, he's trying to focus and get back to his best. And that's the flip side of the coin, isn't it? We don't know what's going on with Jadon Sancho, and Erik Ten Hag does. And he has clearly decided with Jadon that the best thing for him is to continue doing the work he's doing whilst the team goes to Spain. And look, I don't want to speculate on someone's mental health because it's not fair. But also it's worth mentioning for anybody who's got mental health issues, maybe Jadon Sancho or a footballer in general isn't in a great headspace. They've missed out on the World Cup. Their move to Manchester United's not gone great. Their personal life might have things that we don't even know about. Maybe in a world of human beings, there's been a conversation that I don't feel it's right for me to be going to Spain, and Ten Hag says, I don't think it's right for you to go to Spain either. Focus on you. You're in a good space. Keep being in that good space for another week, and then we'll have a chat. And maybe in a week, you come back to Carrington and you come and get involved. Or maybe you need another week doing what you're doing. What's not in dispute is he's not sat at home doing nothing. He's doing an individual training plan in the Netherlands. So the football work and the physical work is being done. And you've got to commend Manchester United and Jadon Sancho for what they are doing, because they're obviously doing what they think is best. It's a blow. It is a blow. Of course it is. When you haven't got a player of that quality playing with the first team, training with the first team, playing in these games, that is a blow because we need Jadon Sancho. But it would be a worse thing to take him out there and have a relapse of whatever the problem is, whether it's injury or not. So it's disappointing. It is a blow, but I don't think it's the end of the world. And as I said, we don't play Burnley for 2 weeks on Tuesday. There's every chance that Jadon Sancho could start that game, regardless of whether he's in Spain or not. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see what happens with it, with the updates. There's a lot of uncertainty around it, and that leads to speculation. I will hit the nail on the head that somebody said. Well, I won't hit the nail, but I'll acknowledge it. Somebody said, where do you see Jadon Sancho in 2 or 3 years' time? I want to see Jadon Sancho in 2 or 3 years' time wearing the number 7 shirt for Manchester United as a consistent performer, and I think that's what we bought. So I'm not going to shift my attention on that. When we bought him, I thought we were buying a player for the next 10 years that could be, an absolute revelation at Manchester United. It's not been a great first 18 months, but I look at Marcus Rashford's last 18 months and I think, where he's at now, and I still don't think he's consistently where he needs to be, but the improvement in Rashford from the last 18 months has been very, very good. So, look, of course Jadon Sancho can do it. It might take a bit of patience. There have been issues over the first year. I mean, like I say, I think he's missed quite a few games with 3 or 4 separate illnesses. So there's clearly an underlying issue that United need to manage. We're going to have to be a bit patient. Look, maybe he won't be a Man United player in 2 or 3 years' time. There's plenty of players that have come to United and it's not worked out. Look at Memphis. Memphis and Sancho, flair players. It doesn't always work out, but I think there's plenty of time for us to see the best of Jadon Sancho, and I think we do have the right manager for it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see the game on Wednesday and next Saturday as well. A lot of youth there. And I think what we're looking at there is, Brandon Williams as well, Ted and Mengi. There's a few players that may be a bit forgotten that might be able to just get a bit of game time, show what they're all about. I mean, funnily enough, I think Brandon Williams may well end up playing at left back because Wan-Bissaka will probably rate right back. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Bit of United. And as I say, we're starting to come back towards that mindset, haven't we? I think after the Fulham game, it felt like a long time until United were going to be playing again. It's literally a fortnight until we play a competitive game, which is going to fly by. So we're in that area now where, and as I said, I think it's going to be very interesting to see when Christian Eriksen is back. They got knocked out on, was it Wednesday? So he's already had 4 or 5 days off. I wonder if Eriksen will be back a week tomorrow, which would mean he's had a week and a half off. And will that be the gauge for every World Cup player that they're going to get a week and a half off? Which is a concern if we get anyone to the final, because they'll miss 2 Premier League games as well. But we need to keep an eye on that. Many players have improved under Ten Hag. Sancho can be the same, says Delino. I agree. And Mark, who would you sign that would improve United? I think Timber and Gakpo are the main targets, says Forcina. I do think we need to buy a centre-back, and I agree with you that I wouldn't ignore the Timber deal, because I think that's somebody that clearly Erik Ten Hag likes, and he'd certainly suit Manchester United, definitely. Joy says that Sancho's got till the end of the season. I don't feel that. I think he's got a little bit longer than that. Just talking about players that Ten Hag would like to sign, though. I mean, look, I don't scout in the World Cup. I know about players like most of you do. I mean, the World Cup and the Euros are every 2 years, aren't they? I've got no interest in qualifiers, so for me, you should scout a player and find out about a player based on what they're doing every week, and that is obviously club football. In the summer, we're talking about right backs here. In the summer, the priority right back for Ten Hag when he walked into the club, and it's well known, and we've said it so many times, and it's never been disputed. And they can't dispute it because it was the list that was handed in. When Erik Ten Hag walked in May, he said, I don't like your scouted list. I don't like your targets. These are the players that I want. I want Denzel Dumfries at right back. I want Timber at centre back. I want Eriksen and De Jong as midfielders. I want Malacia at left back. I want Nunez as my striker. And I want Anthony as my winger. That was the 7-player list that he handed in. Nunez went to Liverpool. We did get Anthony. We didn't get De Jong. We got Casemiro. We did get Malacia. We did get Eriksen. We didn't get Timber. We got Martinez. And we didn't buy a right back. The right back is Dumfries. That was the player that he wanted in the summer. I don't know whether he still wants him. I don't know whether he's moved on from that. But, what did he get? 2 assists and a goal last night, Dumfries. And I don't think last night was an indication of why we needed to buy that player. But you can certainly see why Ten Hag wanted him, because even if you only watch Dumfries in international tournaments for the Netherlands, he's very, very good. And I know they played a back 5, but he's very, very good at creating and getting involved in the box, and that's exactly what Erik Ten Hag wants. We've seen it with Delot, we've seen it with Luke Shaw. He wants a fullback that when they're near the opposition's penalty box, they're composed and they know what they're going to do. And, I don't know whether we're going to buy Dumfries. Maybe we won't. But you can... I found it quite interesting yesterday afternoon with the Netherlands, where he got 2 goals and an assist. And I wasn't scouting him saying, let's buy him, because I know about Dumfries. We all know about Dumfries. But when he was doing that, I had a little smile on my face thinking, well, look, that's what Ten Hag wants with his fullback. He wants a fullback that's relentlessly running up and down, and he wants a fullback that can be a valuable member of the attack. Scoring goals is a bonus, but creating goals, and I think we need that. And I think, look, people give Wan-Bissaka a lot of unfair stick, but Wan-Bissaka will never be that. He's a very good defensive right back. He is not a very good offensive right back. And he never will be. He's never going to be composed in the final third like a Dumfries or someone like that. And I think that is going to be key in the right back that we bring in. So we'll see. What's the best outcome United can achieve this season, says Nathan? I think top 4, mate. I think top 4. I mean, in many ways, I feel sorry for Erik ten Hag, because I think the credibility of this Premier League season domestically is questionable. Because of the World Cup, rightly or wrongly, and we've got to live with it. It is what it is. We can't keep moaning about it. It's destroyed the credibility of the season. And what I mean by that is that Erik ten Hag's first season in charge of Manchester United is not the same as Mourinho's first, or Van Gaal's first, or Ollie's first. In a normal Premier League season, you have a 9-month season. You know when the international breaks are, and you know that you're at a disadvantage because you're playing in Europe, but you can manage it. This year, if you're not in Europe like Newcastle, you're getting many weeks off. You play on the Saturday and then you play the following Saturday. If you are in the Europa League or the Champions League, you know that you're playing 3 games a week, most games weeks. So straight away, look at Fulham and Villa. We took 3 points from 6. It could have been 1 from 6. And for me, it should be 6 from 6 if we're not having to play this ridiculous fixture list because of the World Cup. Look at the Carabao Cup. The Carabao Cup is a cup that I think we would like to win. I mean, it's not something I wake up in the night and go, come on, Carabao Cup. I don't, but it would be a trophy. How are we supposed to win that when Burnley have got 2 championship games before we play them? So they're top of the championship. Most of their team will be fresh, fit and up for it. And we're going to play our first game in 6 weeks with 75% of our first team still at the World Cup. I mean, where is the integrity of the Carabao Cup there? Why have they not put that tournament back until mid-January? Because they've got to shoehorn it in. So whoever wins the Carabao Cup this year, where's the credibility in it? It's very hard for someone like United to win it because we're going to have to play it with 75% of our team out. When we play the FA Cup against Everton in early January, are we going to have our first team ready by then? Or are a lot of the players coming back from the World Cup still not going to be quite ready? So when people say, oh, Ten Hag's got to win a trophy and we've got to get top 4, I agree. But I also think the integrity and credibility of this season makes it very difficult to predict what's achievable. Because if you're Newcastle, you've got a lot of players not at the World Cup and you're not playing in Europe and you've got money. Newcastle's, Aston Villa's, Fulham's, I think their job this season is a lot easier than it is for a Man United or a Spurs or an Arsenal. I'm not looking for sympathy because they'll go, well, yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine and we will be fine. But it is difficult. It's going to be very difficult to predict what we can do. Because if we're going to have a lot of Aston Villas where we're playing Thursday night in February and March and then we've got to go away and play Bournemouth or Forest or, Newcastle, who haven't played midweek, and we've played Thursday, we'll get a lot more Villa games where we're at the end of it. We just go, well, we've lost because they're up for it and they've had the week off and we're tired. So I want us to get top 4, but I'm also very realistic about how hard it's going to be to do that this year. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be very, very hard to do as well. Mark, they made Liverpool play a League Cup game 2 years ago with under 18 teams. It's just how it is, says Jack. Yeah, and Jack, I'm no Liverpool fan, but where's the credibility in that? You can't just say it's normal. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And you know what it's about? It's not about you or me. It's not about fan experience. It's not about the good of the game. It's not about player welfare. It's not about integrity of the tournament. It's about money. It's about we've got to get that. FIFA have said we've got to get this tournament in, and that's the priority. I don't care if you've got to play all your group games for the Europa League and the Champions League before it, and I don't care if the Carabao Cup 4th round or whatever it is played with reserves. The World Cup is what it's all about this year, and that's got to be the focus point. And FIFA run the game. So Dumfries isn't right for us. I've seen him play twice at the San Siro this season, and he's extremely one-footed. Playing in a back 4 doesn't suit him, says Jack. Yeah, well, he is playing in a back 5 for the Netherlands at the moment. And Savage says, I've got no expectations from this season anymore because we're getting new owners. I mean, again, that could be a big factor as well. What we spend in January. Look, I'm not going to sit on the fence. My expectation this season is that we get top 4. But realistically, I've always said I think it'll be very difficult. Trophies, Carabao Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley knock us out. That's going to take a hell of an effort to get through that game with the depleted team we've got. FA Cup. I mean, when you're pulling Everton out in the third round, you don't. In the FA Cup, you want the Man City route, where you're pulling out Gillingham every round to the semi-final. We're pulling out Premier League clubs in round 3. That's going to be very hard. Europa League, we've got Barcelona. That's going to be very hard. And there's not really a route that you can go, oh, we'll win the Carabao Cup or we'll win the Europa League. I think anything we try and do is going to be very difficult. And that squad, for me, is still quite weak in relation to depth. So it's going to be very challenging but exciting second half to the season. And I'll say what I've always said. I do think that this World Cup is going to bite a lot of teams in the arse in February and March, because you're going to be exhausted. If you're Harry Maguire, if you're Marcus Rashford, if you're Bruno Fernandes, if you are Malacia, Dalot, Martinez, whoever. Martinez, I played the game. They've played 3 games a week for 3 months. They've then gone into a World Cup where they're basically playing 3 games a week. Then they're going to come back and then they're going to play 3 games a week till May. How do you do that physically and mentally? And what we've got to hope is that if it hits us, it hits other clubs as well. But we might get a really weird season. Like Newcastle could get top 4 because they've not got many players playing in the World Cup and they're not playing in Europe. So who knows? It's very hard to predict in a season that's unique. It's a unique season. We've never had this before. We've never had a Winter World Cup. We've never had a season where we demand that players play 3 games a week from start to finish. And we've never had a season where some teams aren't doing that. So could you see an Aston Villa come through and finish 5th because they're only playing 1 game a week? Could you see Newcastle finish 3rd or 2nd because they're only playing 1 game a week? We don't know. Or will the status quo find a way of coming through? And hopefully we will do, and we'll get top 4. We should try to focus on the Premier League and get the Champions League spot, but with Ten Hag's mentality, he wants to win it all, says Lee. And yeah, and also we've got a manager that we're very, very happy with, but also might get caught out by naivety that he wants to go for everything. His mentality is fantastic. Every game we have to win. So if he goes with that mentality, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Europa League and Champions League, we might burn out. It happened with Ranić last year. Look at the United team last year. It burnt out, didn't it? We hardly had any players left in April. We hardly had any strikers from January. So this could be. That's why I think this game on Wednesday and Saturday could be really important, because if we can get a Hugo or an O'Neill coming through and looking decent, and we can get a couple of midfielders coming through from the youth and looking decent, they might have a big part to play in the second half of the season. But, that's all if, buts and maybes, of course. Anyway, make sure you smash a like on the video. We're nearly at 1,000 likes. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in as normal. We are live at 2:45 on That's Football for France and Varane against Poland. And then, of course, tonight we are live at 6:45 for England against Senegal. I am doing both of the watch-alongs today, so there's no sharing them out today. Both me today on That's Football. So if you are watching the games and you want to get involved in the football chat, please do. You are very, very welcome. Somebody just said to me, actually, before I go, what is your thoughts on the Ronaldo-Messi debate? Has Messi proved himself to be the GOAT of the game now? And I would say, why are people so stupid at analysing football? Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be 38 in February. Lionel Messi is 35. There is a 2.5-year gap. At some point, look, Messi versus Ronaldo debate I find tiresome anyway. They are 2 of the greatest players to ever play the game. Messi last night was absolutely world class. And then people are like, oh, you've turned your back on Ronaldo. I've always acknowledged those 2 players as 2 of the greatest players that's ever played the game. And we're blessed to have them. I don't I hate Messi and I love Ronaldo, or I hate Ronaldo and I love Messi. I think they're both amazing. But I think what you're seeing now is the age difference. Messi's 35, Ronaldo's 37. Ronaldo's like Thierry Henry. He was built on power and speed and flair, and that is starting to disappear. Lionel Messi is more of a sort of, I'm trying to think of a player that's longevity, technical players. He's not totally based on pace and power. Messi was always going to be the player that I think could play until he was 38, 39, because his game's not reliant on speed and power like Ronaldo is. I think what we're seeing now is that, yes, Messi looks a better player than Ronaldo, because Ronaldo, no matter how hard he works in the gym, he's 37 and he's nearly 38. And Lionel Messi was 35 and a half. That age difference does make a difference now. Now, some people might say, well, Messi's better anyway. Well, whether he's better or not, that age difference makes a big difference when you look at the profile of the player. Ronaldo's always been based on power and speed. Well, you're going to lose that as you get older. Whereas Messi's always been based on technical ability, which actually won't deteriorate as quickly as power and speed does in your late 30s. And I think that's what we're seeing now. So yeah, look, Messi does look better than Ronaldo now, but it's an age thing. There's an age gap and also the type of players they are. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I'll probably get clipped up for that now, but I think it's true. I think people just, Messi's proved he's better than Ronaldo, and I'm like, oh my god, have you looked at their passports? Have you looked at what type of player they are? It's for me, it's just it's an age thing with Ronaldo. The type of player he is, the deterioration is happening. With Messi, younger, but also the way he plays the game, and I've played the game. The way he plays the game, that's not going to deteriorate. It's not. He's got a low centre of gravity. He's a dribbler. He can pass and move. He's got a touch like a magnet. He could still be playing at 40, Messi, if he wants to. There will be a deterioration, but it won't be as severe as Ronaldo's because of the type of footballers they are. Thanks everyone for watching. Anyway, World Cup watch-alongs on That's Football. Don't miss those. 2:45, we're live from France, and then big one, England-Senegal tonight.